everybody. Hello, welcome. Welcome for the week two, or group B of our finalists. And I'm pretty sure you'll wonder who has made it to the finals. Before we begin, I just want to say that we have now fully confirmed our event. Basically, we are organizing a meeting on a 3rd of December at Miami Beach, just for the start of Art Basel. And, it's not an accident. Color grading is an art form, and we want to include colorists as a part of the biggest art exhibition or art event in the world. So now colorists as artists will be represented during Art Basel as well. And we're going to use this opportunity as well to announce all the graduates, everyone who's made it through the Winter 25 cohort, and as well give a Golden Astra Award. So this is an award we're going to give for the best student of the cohort. And then, get together. This is something that we as a colorist don't do enough. We spend most of our life in a dark room. So actually, it's very good for all of us to kind of get out a little bit and have fun. The registrations are also open on our Luma page. And now back to voting. Okay, so thank you all who casted your votes for the first group. I'm pretty sure you're going to agree that it was absolutely amazing. I mean, it was just wonderful. It was wonderful to see, that work. And actually, few people reached out to me and have commented on the quality. And, I have to say, it's just, I actually rewatched it, the whole thing twice. I think I myself watch everything because I just love to see all those grades and work that you're doing. So yeah, I mean, you are definitely setting the bar high for everybody else. Let me tell you that way. On another note, we are. I'm going to actually just share with you now, Luis. Maybe you can just copy and paste the link for voting for this group. I'm going to just announce who is in the group B. So the group B: Emily Allard for Selkie Collection Campaign, Zanna Berry for Laundromat of Malibu, Lucian Alexandrov for Stranglove, Marko Kovač for Before the Door Closed, Denis Khvoynov, I'm sorry, Denis, if I mispronounced, The Cake, Jesse Mickle for Killing Kings, Chronis Christoforakis for What is Life, Aniruddha for Echoes of Valor, Andor Czompo, I hope this is the way I should say, Still Standing, and Gav Patel for Cooper Coins. Okay, so these are the people for the group B. I'm going to now start with the presentation, and I'm going to start, showing you like a one, at a time as we did last time. What I recommend, guys, is please click on the voting links, and as we go through, you can then cast your votes, and so help us find who is the absolutely best, student of the cohort. Even though I'm giving you all of you the best note, somehow we're going to have to see how we're going to get the, some sort of, the number one. I know it's hard, actually, this is one thing that Josh asked me. It's like, do we really need to decide who's the best? So, no, we don't, but it just makes everything a little bit more interesting. Okay, now why I really like Emily's work is because it's something that we actually didn't get in the first group. I'm super excited about this. And these are fashion video campaigns. And I have to tell you, like, that these kind of fashion videos are really interesting because they are kind of in between. They are not, you know, they're not like commercials, and they're not short movies, like they or music videos. Like they have the world of their own. There is actually, or I don't know if it's still running, but there used to be a film festival in Berlin of fashion videos. And it's just up, like it takes the whole visual and everything to the next level. As we know, the fashion photography is probably one of the most regarded types of photography itself. So the fashion videos themselves, they really borrow a lot of that visual language. So I'm super happy that we had one fashion film, and this is by Emily, and she's working with a brand called Selkie. Okay, so the reference for her look was one of the latest campaigns by Alessandro Mickle's Valentino. So basically, the mood is to merge Selkie's signature look with a kind of this Valentino style, right? And so basically, this is kind of the what she started with. We'll see very soon. So you see, like this is the Rex 709. And you can tell that they're shooting a lot with the natural light. So it's not overly lit. This is not like a kind of heavily, and there probably is like a little bit light source I can see here at the back, but it's not like a kind of flash style. And you see on the reference as well, it's just very, very kind of retro-y, romantic kind of thing. And then then she works on a show lot, and then I love what she does with the skin. I mean, especially like if you see the difference, the kind of um, skin of her model and skin of the reference is just so close to one another. I really love it, and the palette and everything has just worked so good. So here as well, really, really beautiful how she transforms, especially the lighting. You see, like as she fixes the ratio between model and the background. I really, really love it. So yeah, especially now as we move into the kind of different scene, like so you see this tea room scene. This is where we get even a little crunchier. There's kind of a little bit more juice here. I and just if you look at this kind of frame, you could really kind of paste it into any fashion magazine and it would stand 100%. See, look at it, absolutely beautiful, especially these, right? I really, really love it. I really love it. It definitely goes perfectly to the brief. And then the exterior scene works even better, I think. Like I don't know, like the whole color palette is just wonderful. And how everything has kind of matched. You see how she softened and warmed up this pink, and made it very, very like pastel-y. You see, the original kind of capture had a lot of the digital pink in it, and especially foliage, and then everything just got this kind of beautiful pastel tones, which is really, really hard to do, so you see, look, she transformed the whole, color palette of everything. Look how far she took the actual garment, and where she parked it. It's just really, really beautiful, really beautiful. But again, doesn't feel overdone. It feels very, very natural. It feels like like beautiful. It flows really nicely. I love this kind of style of this kind of pastel tones. Really, really well done. So guys, if you think Emily deserves your vote and what it is, please go ahead, click on the form, and give her your vote. Anything between 2 and 10. Excellent. Let's go. We're going to now move to the next one. This is one of my favorites, I have to say. This is one of my favorites. It's just, it kind of doesn't feel like a short movie. Like this is a short movie called Laundromat of Malibu. But I have to tell you, like when I watched this, I just could not believe, like, is it? I was thinking, like, if the short movies look like this, I mean, I was like, what is going on? Okay. So basically, it's a set down in rundown laundromat, and it's a Sarah and mysterious worker, and they have conversation. This is really like what short movies usually do. They're very creative in a way how they don't want to you know have 100 locations. So it's very often if you can stage a short movie around a single location, then you usually we are within your budget, which is usually very low, right, for the shorts. And so it's more about the dialogue. So here we have less of about, hey, I have different looks and different things happening in a movie. No, I'm more focusing on how am I going to make this location just look absolutely amazing. And then when I looked at these colors, these yellows, these reds, and this and that, it really, I was like first going and thinking, hey, is this a reference shot? Did she got this as a reference, or is this her grade? It really took me by surprise. I was like, really? So a key visual reference was Fargo. I love Fargo. I love Fargo, right? It's just, absolutely amazing, right? It's very bold color, retro stylization, surreal tones, right? I love it, it's just, and yes, when I read this, I was like, this is so strong. Like, again, I love this thing. Look how strongly saturated everything is, right? But again, it just doesn't feel in your face. These colors are pleasantly saturated, right? I mean, the play between these red and yellow machines, and then look at the gorgeous glow she has on this kind of, super ugly lighting on the ceiling, right? You kind of turn these, lights that are normally completely annoying into kind of a part of the set. Look how beautiful this is looking. Look how she worked with lens distortion. Look how everything is like, how there is a lens distortion everywhere. Like, I love it. I absolutely love it. The skin tones, right? How she kept the gingery hair going, right? Not like there is not a single window visible, right? She's really filming it okay, like I'm grading it so that there is not a sign of someone doing it. Gorgeous. Look at these kind of blues suddenly where he's going totally crazy. Absolutely wonderful. Look at this work. Look at this work. I mean, look, especially when you start, if this is your X709 and you kind of end up here, I'm just going like, unbelievable, man. Like, this is like, look at where she started and look where she ended. And or like just you see how she worked with these yellows. Look, these yellows don't really exist in 709. They're not there. This tone of yellow is totally her work. She made a palette. She made it. I love it. I absolutely love it. I love. And you know what? If you look at her references, right, as well, like, and you see this kind of, create like these looks, like what a beautiful kind of styles of this kind of retro film. And then, technically so clean, absolutely clean. There isn't a really and look, she even manages to keep her midtone exactly on 400. I really, really love it. I really, really love it. Um, I was going through through the tree. She's definitely splitting here again, luminance and chrominance. I mean, this kind of windows tree, and you can tell like this is how she's getting that color, because she has these secondaries and windows that are working together. She's going for an old school 2383 and as a basically look design, and then she puts it again through a print. I love it. I absolutely love it. And she's printing to a Fuji stock. You gotta kind of layer those film emulation things on top of one another to really do it. Guys, I have to tell you, Zanna, I'm so impressed, and I really hope that your clients, have also been so happy with your work, because what you did here is just a miracle. I have to tell you, it's beautiful. Well done. Well done. Please, guys, go ahead. and cast your vote for Zanna. I think she did an incredible job. Incredible. Well done. Now this is another project. Is super interesting. So we also have one project that is shot on film, right? I picked it mainly because of that, because I really felt, and I'm so happy that somebody's not, that we don't have just projects that are shot digitally. No, there is a project that's shot on film as well. And but look what's really interesting about it. So this is by Lucian Alexandrov, okay? And I want you to remember that name because I think we will be hearing from Lucian, and this name is definitely going to go around, and was shot by Radu Tankau, I think is his surname, and actually incredible. Okay, this is so it's a basically action takes place in a school in Romania during the communist era. Okay, so what they're doing is they're recreating this kind of communist style look, right? So it's happening in 80s, and they've really shot it on 35 millimeter. It's a kind of 22-minute film. But what was very interesting, some of the film rolls they used were expired. So it came out all over the place. You'll see in a minute. So basically, this is the footage. And I mean, and look at this green cast. If I had been director or cinematographer and I had got footage from the laboratory back to me like this, I'd be like, oh my God, what just happened? What's going on with my film? Do we have a film? Do we have it at all? I mean, I can only imagine the moment you look at your dailies, you look at your scans, right? And you go like, what is this, right? And then, but again, what I like about Lucian, you see, we spoke about it last week. The choice of references is such an important part of the creative process. And choosing the right references, and again, steering away from, like choosing the right references for the right story, not necessarily choosing the reference based on popularity of film, or some sort of like a thing that's going on, like, but choosing the right reference, right movie, and blending influences of that into your project is just really, to me, like a kind of the I would say that the crucial step in look development. And that's that's where we start. We always start with references. It's great to talk about it, but let's start with looks, right? So look at these references that he picked, and then we're going to go a little bit, deeper inside of that. These are films. I was like, what is this? What are these films? Now look at his final looks. I mean, guys, look, this is where he started. This is where he started. Look where he ended. I'm like, wow. He managed to fix it all. The whole green cast is completely gone. You don't even know that has ever existed, right? So look, so for the interior look, he chose a movie called Youth. I haven't seen it. It's now on my list. Okay. It's like a Chinese film, and you know what? It has that communist feel. Like, it's so it's a communist era. I mean, what a great choice! What a wonderful choice! And these palettes and the looks. I mean, it just looks absolutely wonderful. Okay, look at it. Look how beautifully he got this. To look, and I don't know, like for me, this Lucian's work could be another reference. I would use this work like to say, oh, this could be a really great reference for a good film emulation project. So look where he started, Rec 709. He worked on his CDL here, and then he built finally with a Notary an incredibly finished look. And this is just amazing, amazing. Look at this one. This is another look, from the interiors. Rec 709 started really like saturated, strong. Look how beautifully he got it. I really love it. The close up. Look at that. Close up was completely green, right? Then he balanced it, right? I love it. I absolutely love it. Okay, then he went for exteriors, which are of course like completely different. When you shoot a film, you have to probably shoot different stock. God knows what they were doing anyway. And then he picked this film called Black Cat, White Cat by Emir Kusturica. And he's one of my childhood's kind of hero directors. I'm so actually happy. Like someone picked these movies. He was this he still is this avant-garde director who kind of, just makes his movies, doesn't care about, how commercially successful or not successful they are. Like he's such a crazy artist. And and I actually have never really looked at this movie in this eye, that I have analyzed really these colors and everything, and look at that. I mean, I love it. I absolutely love it. And look where he started. This is insane. Look where he started, and then balanced, and then worked. Look how she brought her hair back. What he did, how he beautifully vignetted everything. What he did with the skin. Unbelievable. Look at these exteriors. Look at these exteriors. You know, I mean, if this doesn't tell you this is Romania in 80s, then I don't know what does. I don't know if there is any better way to say, hey, this is happening. I cannot actually believe that this is not happening in 80s. I was thinking they got the archive footage from the 80s. Unbelievable. The night look, right? Look at that. We the Animals is the reference for this one. Great. Unbelievable. Look at this kind of, like super, super dark tones, but so gorgeous. Like, I can see, like it's night, but I can see, like fully the eyes of this actor. So nice. So nice. Look at that. Look at that. The detail. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Where he started, where he neutralized, how he pushed it. Absolutely beautiful. Then he used it. There was obviously a dream scene in their dream sequence, and he used daisies. This is actually, something that we studied a while ago. If you remember that AGFA project, the AGFA research project we did, unbelievable. This is just, that this look is insane. I love it. Look, look again, he's working with completely expired stock, balanced, and then he adds this also glow to them a little bit. Like, this is just filtration. It's in there. I love it. Lucian, this is such an achievement, such an achievement. I love it. So guys, if you love it as much as I do, please score Lucian's work right now. Give him 10 if you think he deserves it. I really think this is Lucian, this is a study by itself. I honestly think that, and I really hope that this work gets you a lot more work, because this is absolutely amazing what you're doing. Now, we are staying in Eastern Europe, and we're actually going now just across the border from Romania to Serbia, and we're going to now see a work by a Serbian colorist called Marko Kovač. Okay, now I have to tell you something about Marko. When Marko first contacted me, and he said, "Oh, I don't know color grading really. I'm not color grading. I never color graded. I watched a little bit YouTube videos. I never worked professionally. I never done any professional work at all. Like I just love it. Do you think I could do masters?" And I was a little bit reluctant, but once I asked him, "So what is it that you want to do, Marko?" He says, "I really want to be professional colorist. I really want to start working and grading, for other people." And I felt like, you know what? Certainly Marko is not on the level of normally like somebody who wants to do the master's program, but you know what? Let's give him a chance. Let's go for it. He feels really passionate about it. He wants to learn. He wants to go for it. And Marko was full on during the course, always asking questions, always like redoing, and something was not right. Like, he was really, really, really full on. And during the master's program, he manages to get the first job. And I believe this is his, like, well, if not the first, it's one of the first jobs that somebody hired Marko suddenly to grade movies for him. So like for them. So like this is really like so basically I saw it in real time, almost like, where Marko starts struggling with grading, understanding it, but learns, gets better, and gets to the point where he manages to secure a first job and he grades this project. And it's called, let me just go again, the name I forgot now. It's called Before the Door Closed. Okay, John comes back from a very long trip to see his wife, Maria. They spend the best day of their lives together, but the next day they end up in an argument and John leaves her in fit of rage. Very Serbian story, by the way. If there is a movie without conflict, then there's no movie. I mean, this is Serbian movies have to have some sort of conflict. It must something has to happen. My client wants color that will serve the story and emotions through the story. For the references, I chose, let's see, The Fighter. Interesting. Heute van Hoytema. I didn't even know that he shot this movie, actually. The Fighter. He found Hoyte's movie from 2010. My God. Wow. I love it. I mean, you gotta give Marko credit. He chose Hoyte van Hoytema for his reference. Oh my God, I love it. I love it. Then he says, then he chooses for the interiors, the second, when they're having a kind of, interior time, it's a basically one fine morning. Again, I'm like, what is this movie? Look at that. I mean, look how beautiful it looks. It's just like, wow, I love it. I love it. And then, this night look, he went for Mickey and the Bear, right? By Connor Murphy. Really interesting references. I'm going like, listen, this is a guy who's just starting grading. Are you kidding me? Like, he's picking these gorgeous movies. What is this, And then he went for this kind of, the interior bed scene in The Heights, graded by Steven Nakamura. Really interesting, Marko. And then he got the exterior looks. Remember the Titans, right? So I was like, okay, I mean, this guy is just going for it. Like, he's not kidding. And then yes, we have this movie called Carnan. Look how many different looks he's got. Like, what's going on? Like, Marko, can you make yourself life a little bit more difficult? And then we go like, okay, check this out. This is kind of what I would say an independent short movie should look like, right? This Rex 9 is exactly the dailies that you would get, right? This is kind of, what are we seeing here is like kind of, there's this little bit like kind of white balance tweak, to make it look like dusk. And look what he turns it into. I mean, you're kidding me. Look at this kind of, the warmth. Look at the glow of the lights, like, I mean, from something that looks so boring and dark, and where's love in this shot, in this scene? And I'm going like, oh my God, this is the most romantic shot ever. Look at what he's doing. Why? Because he got a good reference again. He's smart. He's smart. He picked a really, really good style, right? Then interior. Okay, like super low lit, super underexposed, and look what he does. I mean, he completely transforms the look. Look what he does, like, with these big yellow grads. Why? Again, he had this gorgeous, like I think it's called In the Morning, like gorgeous warm tones, like just guys, like just check it out. Look where he started. And he was not afraid to push it in a completely different directions. Why? Because it serves the story. It serves the story. It tells the story in a really good way. Look at this. Look at this. I mean, you're kidding me. I don't know, like, if these people who hired him to grade are really aware of what he did with their footage. I honestly don't know. I don't know, like, whether they're, they grasp, the amount of input and on what level he raised their movie on. I mean, look at this. Look at the difference between the Sen and I, right? Really, really nice. Then we have like the night scene. Gorgeous. Again, very nice, super warm. Like, look at what he's doing. I mean, unbelievable. You know, and then, look at these close-ups. Then look how he softens the highlight. I love it. I absolutely love it. Like he kind of keeps the detail going. Like, no, I want actors to be real. you know I mean, this looks like there is a love in their eyes. Not this for sure. This looks like a horror story. I love it. Look at the exteriors. I mean, we all know this is the grass from a digital camera. Don't we know all this, electric green, radioactive? And look what Marko does with it. Look at this kind of gorgeous, tones of, and then how he, I love Marko. you know you're not, I mean, can tell you now, Marko, you 100% earned yourself, a diploma, and I couldn't be more proud to give you that one. And you're the only person that knows that you have graduated so far. But I think, guys, you have to agree, this is a huge step for somebody, and this quality of work is just, proof of his talent. He's just really, really young and super talented guy that I hope is going to go super far. As long as he doesn't stay in Serbia, that's the next thing you're going to have to do, get out of there. So please vote for Marko. Give him your vote. He definitely needs it. He needs your support, and he definitely earned it as well. All right, then we go for Denis. Denis Khvoynov, and he did a movie called The Cake. Okay, very interesting. I have to tell you, like, so these are these kind of courtroom dramas, right? And yeah, there's a genre called courtroom drama, I believe. I believe, like, this is just never ending, right? So basically, it's a thriller. It's shot on red. Young woman's blaming her ex-boyfriend for raping her when she tried to break up with him. A man tells a very different story in front of a judge. Who's the victim, and stories to be found. Excellent. Okay, so it's a kind of thriller style story. So basically, he has then several scenes. Again, I love it. So trial scene, right? Okay. Then he's got an apartment scene. Interesting. And then he's got a jury deliberation scene, and look how beautifully he separated those. I kind of, they feel like a part of the same project, but look how beautifully he separated. He allows the story to flow. He allows audience to switch from one moment of time into another. There is no difference when we are telling history, what happened back in the apartment. And then there is this real drama when the jury deliberates. So well, conceptually, it's perfectly done. Okay, so let's see how he executed that. So this is the trial room scene. Very interesting, very kind of warm, kind of, but again, like a little muted, really, really interesting. Really started very, very kind of saturated Rexonanine from red, and then ended up in a really, really beautiful, moody way. Look at it, like, he cooled down that skin a lot, a lot. Jury deliberation, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Separated skin, obviously, from everything else, right? Apartment scene, crazy warm red. I mean, this is kind of, hey, something's gonna happen here. Interesting. I love it. I mean, I'd have to tell you, Dennis definitely pushed it really hard. Pushed it really, really hard. Again, what is he doing here? He's on Fuji, and then printing on Kodak. Very interesting. I love it. I absolutely love it. Gorgeous, clean S curve. Very nice. Dennis, in really good work. I love it. Well done. Well done for the concept, the development. A great look on the delivery. Guys, if you think Dennis deserves your vote, please do so and cast your vote now. And let him know what you think, how he did his job. All right, we're going now moving to another one. Now, this is a kind of, I would say, why I picked Jesse's work. Jesse's not colorist, And he joined, and he never wanted to be a colorist. He's a cinematographer. Okay, and then he never kind of really joined Masters so that he can work as a colorist. He really joined Masters so that he can build looks, so that he can develop looks. He figured, for me as a cinematographer to leave a mark with my work, I need to be able to use these digital tools as well. And it's a little bit kind of I have to say, like, Jesse's a little bit in a separate category because of that. You have to understand, he's kind of I view his work more kind of as a creative endeavor rather than like a professionally delivered color grade. And this is really what he does. He's kind of disciplined us. What he did a job at, where he really did the whole look development, and so on. So basically, it's a mockumentary, basically a movie of with people, with the guys who are kind of doing some YouTube channel, and they're kind of talking about their dad, and discovering the history and so on. It's got a lots of effects and so on. And the show has got 4 distinct worlds, right? Involving 4 cinematographers, to each take on one of the worlds, providing clear separation in the narrative. And then he says this is exactly what Caron did with the cinematographers Lubetsky and Dibonel for Disclosure. It's true. It's true. They were not allowed to know what the other guy did. That's how basically Caron separated these 2 stories. Really interesting. Really interesting. He's going like, no, let's do this. So basically, he wants to kind of have a separate, approach to each of the look. So there is basically, the YouTube kind of style masterclass, the mockumentary style when they're talking, and so on. And then, like I can't go a lot into the concept of developing. This is really like where Jesse goes really deep inside. I must say, like, he approaches this from a different angle than a normally professional colorist would. He goes a little bit, deeper than what we do. And here is something that's super interesting. Jesse is not using films for references. He chose to use classic art. And it works. I mean, this is really something where I when I saw that, I was like, okay, what's gonna happen? He really gave me paintings. I was like, what? I'm not used to normally judging movies by reference by paintings. I have to tell you, I don't get it a lot. Actually, just in my last cohort, a student we had, she already kind of used the painting, but I haven't seen it a lot. I have to tell you. So, so basically, look at these kind of, so kind of these are kind of, the references, right? And then we end up, with these style of looks, right? Of this kind of, YouTube style of looks. Really, really interesting. Really interesting. Like, let me show you this. So this is basically his graded look. Okay. Look at this. And you think like, interesting. Where did he get that from? Unbelievable. Unbelievable how well he translates a style of a painting to a look in a movie. I was like, wow, unbelievable. And look where he started. Oh my God, and where he ended up. Absolutely, absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. So this is what I mean. Like, JC kind of has his own category. I have to say, look at this. This is a grade. Yes, looks good. And then you look at it and you go like, oh my God, look where he got the tones from and the atmosphere and everything. And actually, like, it didn't look, it looked quite flat, originally, right? Look at this one. Wow. Now he's got the contrast going. Wow. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And you know what? I think when he was exporting, that something happened here, like not all of the shots came through, but regardless, he earned himself a place in the finals simply because of this incredibly innovative and crazy approach, and really, like, showing us all that there is no limit where you take your inspiration from. Nobody is, you know, the world's your oyster as far as we're concerned, and you can just go and take, from world around you. And if this is the painters, then so be it. Do it. Do it. Guys, if you think that this is super cool what Jesse's done, please go ahead and give him your vote. Show him your appreciation. And now we are moving to Chronis. Okay. I chose Chronis. Well, I know we're color grading academy, but black and white movies are also color grading. And we needed to have one black and white. And I remember I remember he said, "Do you think I could do like a black and white?" I was like, of course. It's the hardest, actually. It's much harder than color. So the visual style is black and white look with a subtle vintage character, echoing the textures of early photographic process, strong high contrast lighting. The approach is inspired by aesthetic of Robert Eggers' The Lighthouse, particularly its vintage monochrome palette, high contrast lighting, and textured grain. Oh my God! So he's going he's going for it. He's going like, okay, vintage black and white, when nobody was saving on silver halide. Like there was a abundance of silver halide. I can imagine only the contrast. And then I was just amazed. I mean, look at it. And I love the fact that he also put it almost as a still photograph. Like, there's like, it looks like this kind of, and, like, look what he did. Look where he started. And look the amount of contrast and sharpness he brought into this shot. And this is, you see, really what motion pictures cameras have a problem with. When you do this kind of, super contrasty black and white shots, they don't have that light. We can't really capture, that contrast a camera. It's very hard. It's very hard. You must do this. And unbelievable. The amount of detail he got out of it. And that was a reference. Unbelievable. Look at this. Look at this. You're like, what? This is, look where he started, and look how dark he made it. But yes, you kind of can see. I can only imagine how this looks when it's motion, because he used this kind of super dark shot, like from the reference. Look at the characters. Look at the characters. You know, look how like, you kind of, like I can only imagine what must be like to sit in a cinema and watch this, in full darkness, and you just have these silhouettes and this, gorgeous, like, I mean, this is like a cinematographer's movie. I know that cinematographers love shadow, like, and this is totally like a grade that is like, hey, how can I grade in a shadow? This is not a light grading. This is shadow grading. Unbelievable. Look at this. Look at this. How he separates his highlight, and that specular, unbelievable. Such a brave move. I have to tell you, this is like this is super, kind of art installation style project. Some of these things are so dark as well. Like, look at it. Look at it. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Look at it. Look at, this kind of, the talk of light, and where he started was super flat. So, Chronis, thank you very much for doing a black and white movie. Thank you for making a grade that's worth an art installation. You're in that category. With Jesse there. You two guys are just, like, I absolutely love it. We don't just do commercial projects. We love art. We love cinema. So thank you very much for pushing, and you guys as well. Please cast your vote for Chronis. And he had guts to do like a super arty black and white project. So I think he deserves your vote just for that. So please go ahead and do it. And part, I think he did an incredible work. Okay, the next student is Aniruddha, and I really admire how brave he is and why, like something about it. So what Aniruddha did, he was like he 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 had a kind of struggle that the movies that he was grading and his professional work didn't really feel right for him to submit as an assignment. And so what he did, he basically went ahead and found stock library material and basically said, okay, I'm just going to invent a short movie and create the subject and grade this. I just really want to, show how it is. And so, I love that. I love it. The innovation, improvisation is mother all invention. So he didn't just sit there and go like, oh, I'm hopeless. I don't have a good material. I can't do it. No, he said, no, I'm not giving up. I'll find material. I'll go for it, and I'm going to submit it. And really, really super, super happy for your bravery for doing this. And what you did is actually just fantastic. So he basically used he titled it Echoes of Valor, and it's basically a World War II movie, right? And it's inspired by Fury. All right, so let's have a look. So this is the movie Fury, okay? And it looks like a kind of a school in Bleach Bypass, right? And check this out. So this is the material he started with. This is what actually looks in Rec Cine 9. And look where he ended up. I was like, wow. Wow. Check this out. I mean, this is so spot on. Check this out, the night kind of shots. Really, really good. Really good. Aniruddha, well done. I really chose you because of your bravery and really for really amazing looks you created. It would be great if you had done even more. I would have loved it. And I'm really looking forward to seeing actually an actual film that you're going to grade next. So guys, please cast your vote for Aniruddha. I think he definitely deserves it. The next project is very interesting. Okay, it's something that kind of most people that watch television, kind of are never really aware of, and never really don't really understand, what we do. And I really chose it because, so far, like we had like all these creative arty movies, but documentary is bread and butter. And the reason why I picked up Andor's work, so this is a project called Still Standing, okay? And Andor has actually demonstrated something that to me is really the art of color grading in a way that you kind of the biggest challenge of this project was that it was shot across multiple years on multiple cameras. Come on, I know you all know the story. There's drones and Sonys and whatever. You know the story, as they were like every year they had a new camera. Yet it has to feel like one job, has to feel like one movie. Okay, really, really interesting. Really interesting. Okay. I mean, and they had like a multiple cinematographers, right? So, and it's a really beautiful story as well. It's this kind of these are these barn buildings, that are up in like a north of New York, I believe, where this was shot. And here is the source material. So look at this. So the challenge. Still Standing was shot over a period of 7 years. 7 years. With 7 years, many different video cameras, color spaces, bit rates, frame rates, formats, and rasters. I love it. I mean, this is kind of the several cinematographers. The goal was to unite everything and to make it all look like one. So it's not like a kind of, hey, how crazy and artistically I'm going to do it. No, how am I going to make it look like one, man? Look at this. And then look at the difference that you start with the DJI footage, the Sony footage, the GoPro footage, GoPro. Oh my God. And Sony FS7. I mean, unbelievable. And then I was like, what just happened. I mean, look, guys, where he started. Look at this. And look at this. I really don't. I can't tell what was shot with. There is no difference to me when I look at these images that I can even get a smallest clue, maybe to figure out, yeah, maybe this could be, there must be a drone, right? But like for me, I'm not, I don't know. He completely removed the problem of different cameras and different sources, and just like made it look like one. And again, like I really hope that these people that for whom he graded, they really have an understanding to what he's doing, like, and what he did for them, right? you know Look what he did, like, so these are these kind of all the different things. So he used look designer for the film emulation, right? Print Ektachrome on a reversal, and then he did a little CMY subtly. But again, you see what he did. You do all of this, but just a little. It shouldn't look like it was shot heavily on film. It just needs to give it a little beautiful character. Look how clean everything is. You see his kind of Rec 709. It's just perfect, spot on. There is not a sign of anything breaking. It's just flowing. Texture. A light texture from GrainLab was added as a timeline note to provide a very fine film grain consistent with Ektachrome. And this is an aesthetic choice to provide a slightly grittier feel to the digital imagery. Beautiful. Beautiful. But there is no grain. And when I look at it, I don't really feel like, oh, this is a grainy image, right? But that little dithering is just really what I love. I love that. I love that. I love that attention to detail. Look at this. Look at this. And now you're completely, as a filmmaker, director, whoever, you remove yourself from that, technical challenge. Should I use this shot because it's shot with this camera, that camera? And you just can totally express yourself and have a free choice how you want to shoot with what camera and how you're going to do it. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Right? Look at it. Look at these interviews, like, I love it. I love it. Beautiful. So natural, right? Look how he did the skin tones. He fixed them, but he didn't really reinvent anything, like he's just kind of made it feel like so nice and warm. So Andor, I really applaud. I really think you did an incredible work. And most of all, I love, that you just understand how far to push things and where to go, and how, invisible these grades are, and how beautifully you balance that footage. Guys, if you also admire his work, please go and cast a vote for him, because now we're coming to our last, but definitely not least, student of the finals. Okay. The next and final colorist is called Gav Patel. Okay. And he graded a movie called Copper Coins. Now, please pay attention to this work. Okay. I know you saw so many looks so far, but please try to concentrate if you can, just for one more student. And there is reason, maybe one day I'll tell a story how come that he's the last in line. Okay. All right. So this is the log line. Fleeing from their biggest heist gone wrong, Anna and Ruth, outlaws and lovers, must find solace in each other when unable to outrun their grim consequences. Ruth's fatal wound, and the authorities determined to hang them. So this is Western. Oh, wow. I love it. Oh my God, Western romance. Oh my God, even better. You know what is going on? Kind of Hateful Eight meets Greta Gerwig's Little Woman. I mean, I love, don't you love these descriptions? What it is, Sony FX3. Really? Sony FX3? Wow, interesting. Okay, and then we go. So he basically definitely figured out 4 looks when they're on the run, when they get discovered, when they're in denial if they're going to survive, and then when they finally accept the death, right? Oh, maybe I shouldn't have said it, and maybe I spilled the beans too much. Okay, right. So basically, so this is the trajectory. So on the run look, discovery look, and denial and acceptance. So basically, these are like three different moments, three different locations, right? Okay, great. So let's start. Inspiration. So inspiration was basically the assassination of Jesse James. Jane got the gun, The Last of Us, and Teen Spirit. So here is basically the kind of the what he used as inspiration. He worked in JP Log 2, surprise, surprise, and he emulated it using 5219 2383 with a very strong bloom and 16 millimeter grain structure. Check this out. I was like, wait, am I still looking at the references? Oh, wow. Wow. No, guys, this is the look. This is the look. This is an FX3. I mean, I'm like, wow, look at that texture. Look at these eyes. Look at that grain. Look at the feel. Look at this contrast. I was like, wow. Wow, what? You know? I honestly thought like, oh, is he showing me he's better than the reference, actually. You know? Like normally, like you go like, oh, references are so good looking and the grades not so. No, this is like grades looking better than the references. Check this out. The discovery moment. Look at the bloom. Oh my God. Oh my God. Look, there was, yeah, I mean, this is insane. And look at these dark denial scenes, you know? Wow, this is the romantic moment when they tell to each other we love each other and we're gonna die. I mean, this is like, wow. But look at these kind of. I mean, I was just amazed. I was amazed. What is he doing, Gav? I was like, Gav, this is like, I mean, material. Like for millions of budget. This is the look. And then I really love that he kind of let us a little bit behind the doors, and he showed us what he's doing. And I want to share this with you because, again, we're voting, but we also learn. And we never stop learning, don't we? So basically, look what he does. He definitely treats on his primary level already luma and chroma separately. Interesting, isn't it? We it kind of, it works. Don't you think so? Like the luma and chroma. Like I really think, that maybe, like a kind of this particular look maybe was possible because he clearly separated luma and chroma to begin with. Maybe. I think so. I believe that this is the reason why. Okay, then he does a similar thing also with the secondaries. Interesting. See, he works secondaries in luma and chroma. I've never seen that actually. This is the first time. This is first time that I see somebody does that, right? That they go like, okay, I'm building here secondaries, right? And I'm using different blend for those. Actually, I think I'm going to actually start trying to do this myself, right? And then on the output side, he has all the halation, soft clip, grain lab. And then, he's using this thing called Looked In. And I was like, what is this? And it's from, like a plugin from Wacas Quasi. I never thought anybody's using this. And now look, he proved me completely wrong. Unbelievable. So he has here a halo, then he goes grain, then he does this kind of DCTL. So he a little bit kind of moves a little highlight. This is kind of the thing at the end he does. And then he prints 5219 and 2383 and then he does, of course, some FBE on a gamut, and that gives us absolutely. You see that this is kind of the reason why this gamut, the skin feels so good, is that kind of FBE in it. It doesn't let it glow out. And then, if it's not just as you thought, like this can't get any better, this is just so beautifully done. He then tells us, guys, actually, I want to tell you there was more than that, and this is really what we teach. And I'm so happy that Gavin has actually put all of that into practice. We're finishers. We're not just colorists. We take a project and we make it look absolutely amazing and finished. So, for example, he's removing a hair clip. He's removing a light switch. He's removing equipment. I mean, we all know, hey, there is a C stand in a shot, right? He's recompositing the shots. He's moving. Are you kidding me? I love it. I love it. This is the finishing on the top level, right? Wait, but there is number 11. There is no 11, Ariel. So it should be good. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So, guys, thank you very much. Thank you for absolutely amazing work. Please go ahead and cast your vote for Gav. I hope you agree that it was a good choice for me to leave Gav as last and to finish on such a high note. Guys, thank you for amazing work. Thank you for being such a great community. Thank you for positive spirit and supporting one another on this journey. And you're definitely standing out. You're definitely standing out. There is, as my boss from Warner Brothers used to say, colorists like penguins. But you're definitely not those penguins. You're definitely standing out. You're doing an amazing work. And I'm going to do anything to help you, stand out even more. I think this is my next job. Once you finish the class, I have to find a way how the world's going to find out about this amazing talent. So this is probably one of the ways how we're going to do it. Thank you all. I'm looking forward to seeing you possibly next week. And then otherwise, let me know any questions about the event in Miami. It would be great to see you guys if you can come. It's good for you as well, just for a quick break. Otherwise, no worries, man. We'll be online always and be able to connect like this. Enjoy, everybody. See you soon. Thank you and bye-bye. Thank you, Louis. Thank you. Take care. Bye, 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 bye.